Welcome to Soul Conversations with Sandra, the podcast. And I am so happy and glad to introduce to you Deborah from Le Mer, that's French, Soulcraft. So, Le Mer Soulcraft. I'm so glad that I speak French now. Okay, but we welcome you to this conversation. We're going to learn a little bit about Akashic Records, Akashic channeling, and how she got there, and how she tells the story. She really tells the story through her channeling, through her painting. And I really love that you guys are here and are going to join me this Friday, kicking off your weekend with Soul Conversations with Sandra. I really love it. So let's get started. Well, we'll get started as soon as she comes into the room. And we're going to welcome her into the room with some respect, of some spiritual respect. This is a podcast. She is my guest. And the only time that I will welcome anybody else in is if she would like it. So she has come into the room, and while I'm bringing her into the room, I have noticed that the vocals will go kind of silent. You may see me moving my mouth, but you may not hear it. It's just how Instagram does the transition. So hold on just a second. Sure. I hope all is well. Let's welcome Deborah in. Thank you. And we're going to have fun today. I might even learn a little bit more French.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Welcome to the...
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Hold on just a second. For some reason, hold on. Okay. The comments are starting to move. So hold on just a second. Okay. I don't know what I did to get them to move, but as they move up, they'll move out of your face. Right now they're kind of blocking one half of your face. So, yeah. But welcome. Thank you for being my wonderful guest on my podcast. I want to hear something about Akashic Records, because I don't understand that, and I understand, but I do feel it's a spiritual need within us, how we're learning to move spiritually through the duality that we live in, as a spiritual being having this physical body. So my first question to you is, when you had your spiritual awakening, did it go right into the Akashic Records, or was there a path that you followed?
Well, it's kind of a crazy story. I had two awakenings, really. I was already awakened as a child, and my mom was a channeler and a Reiki practitioner. So as soon as I was able to understand what she was doing, I was very young still. She would just teach me how to channel. She would teach me all this stuff about healing, about automatic writing, all this stuff about past lives. Mm-hmm. And I had I actually did my own past life regression. Like, we did a past life regression on each other when I was 16 or something. And I was just like, oh yeah, well, let's see what happens. Of course, we immediately end up in the Akashic Records. But then after that, I had kind of a crazy experience, and I just wrote about that recently in a blog, where I went into somebody's house for a reading, and their father had passed away, and I was able to feel everything, but I was 17 or 18 at the time, and that's 20 years ago. I'm going to be 37 next week. So that was really impressive for me, and I was like, this is too much. I don't want this responsibility. I want to be normal like everybody else. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to just do something normal. And so I pushed it all aside, didn't want to have anything to do with spirituality, none of that stuff. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. And for a couple of years, I succeeded at just pretending like none of it existed. And I got a degree in early childhood education, started working as a teacher. And then because I ignored my intuition, which was also supposed to happen, I guess, because that's how I met my ex-husband, who was a catalyst for my reawakening. And what happened is that we were in a very toxic relationship. He was abusive, and I really needed to get out of that relationship, actually. And wow, there's a bunch of motorcycles. But yeah, so I needed to get out of that relationship. And I had started getting curious again about like spirituality, and I started seeing like the 11:11, all the typical signs when you are starting to wake up again, of course. And he's standing across from me in the kitchen, and he talks to me. And in that moment, there was something in that conversation that created some kind of wormhole for another timeline to open up. And what happened is that two timelines basically collapsed. And all of a sudden, I was still talking to him, but he looked different. He did not look like what he looked like in this lifetime.
Mhm.
And I knew this is my husband, but this is not what he looks like. And I looked at myself, like I looked down, and I'm like, this is not what I look like. And I was wearing these like these weird clothes that just weren't from this time. My husband looked like he was some kind of warrior, like a Celtic or Viking warrior. I'm like, what is happening? And I have to pretend to be in this conversation, like this is just a normal conversation. So I have to pretend like nothing weird is going on, of course.
Mhm.
And I walk over to the sink because I think, okay, I'm just gonna like recollect myself at the sink, not making any eye contact, pretending to just be doing these dishes. But then this voice starts talking to me, and she's saying, I am you in the 4th century in Roman occupied Great Britain, and you are a druid, and that is your husband, and in that lifetime he did this and this and this. And like in a matter of seconds, this whole past life was revealed to me, the soul contracts, the karma that we have had to work through, why we met again in this lifetime. And it was presented to me because I had to make the choice to leave him in this lifetime. And that was the push that I needed to see why. Where was that coming from? How was that connected to a past life? And I started researching everything, double checking, because I wanted to make sure, like I saw like ornaments, like a brooch, like the way the clothing, the fashion, everything, laws, everything was shown to me. And I started double checking online. What was the laws, like tribal laws in England at that time, clothing at that time, how was everything done? And it all lined up. And I'm like, wow, this stuff is just all lining up. I'm not making this up. And then I'm like, can I reverse this process? Maybe I can, because it was just coming to me. I said, maybe I can open this portal or whatever it was. I didn't understand it yet at the time. And I can get the information and understand why stuff in this lifetime is happening and how it's connected to these other timelines, lifetimes.
Right.
And that's how it started. Kind of started because I saw the effects that it had on my life, and I started helping people around me. And then I was like, I have to tell people need to know about this. And I started giving people advice, and yeah, and here we are 6 years later.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It for Kelly sharing with us. I just go with how source down. Sometimes I have questions written down that I know, and then sometimes I just kind of flow. And in this flow, the question is, you said soul contracts and the different timelines. Now, the different timelines. Is it to change the timeline that already correct? You're just viewing it, you're watching it, you're seeing it, it happened, and seeing it happen, you're instead of judging it, you're learning about it so that you can bring it forward back into the life and see where you can make changes or adaptations to the life you're living now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's actually a very good definition, because that's the whole point of the Akashic Records. Because sometimes people will try to, they're like, oh, this is some kind of luxurious past life as a priest or priestess, wow. And then people want to escape in that experience, but it's not meant as an escape. We are meant to bring it all back and integrate it, because there's only one person that can make this lifetime a good lifetime, and that is us with this body. The ones that we've had, the other lifetimes, they can't do anything about this. We can do our best to integrate all of that information and those experiences. And yeah, so it's good to go and see all that information, and we learn about our blocks, about our wounds, phobias, fears, why we have certain intense reactions to things that seem insignificant. And then we also have the opposite, that we can see where some of our passions come from, our gifts, talents that we have, interests, and then we see, oh, it's from that lifetime and that lifetime, and all these pieces make up who you are today.
Okay. Okay. So next, to follow that, okay, for me, I don't believe, or I have learned through my uploads, downloads, implodes, or what the terminology a person would like of getting information from source, from soul. I've learned that the soul is never fractured. It's just falling, and as it's falling, it's giving, sharing information with us that helps grow and expand in this story that we're telling. Now, with the Akashic Record, is it the Akashic Records help the soul heal that way? Hold on, just 1 second. I'm passing by. I apologize. I didn't catch that. I've got my window closed, and that's how loud it is. Very loud.
Yeah. But I have the same problem. I live in Spain, and there is usually a lot of noise around this time. Tonight it's rather quiet. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, when I started, I listen to, people with their posts that do their not. And a couple of them heard it's about the soul being fractured, soul healing, whatnot. But I was drawn to, I'm just going to say I was drawn to believe as I was getting my meditation and how to share what I was getting. Soul it comes from the realm of absolute, so it comes from perfect but veiled, not remembering exactly where it's from, because it's supposed to be on this embodied life in learning and understanding kind of, or school. But I've heard one person had, I'm sorry, I can't remember, and maybe it's not for me to remember. In the post, they meant that they healing the soul. Now, it is for me to ask again: is for the soul healing? Is the soul broken, or is it remembering or recalling? Can you explain?
I don't really believe either that the soul is broken, because the soul is source energy, and then that would be like saying source energy is broken because we are a part of source. It's more like, the way I see it is that you have this spark of light, and that's the soul, and then you add on experiences, and you gather all this information, experiences, and we have to process it and integrate it. But sometimes so much happens. We have intense lifetimes that give us soul trauma. but the soul is not broken, but it adds stuff on top, illusions, like stuff like limitations, limiting beliefs, trauma, pain, and that it carries all that weight like in a backpack with it, and it should just kind of let go of all of that stuff. But that can only happen when we understand where it came from and that we don't need it anymore. So sometimes I have heard people say like soul fragments or the soul is fractured. But what I do believe, I believe more that it is the illusion of separation or a limiting belief that you have put on top of the pure essence that you are, and then you believe that you are smaller than you actually are. And it's about getting rid of old programming, old belief systems, so that you can just see how magnificent and bright and whole you actually are. That's kind of what I want to do with the Akashic Records.
Okay, hold on a second. Nigel Wick says that my audio vibrating, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to fix that. Hold on just a second. Let me take I'm going to readjust my phone just a second. Let me make sure that it's not on anything. Hold on. Let me turn something down. Yeah. Tell me if that works. I do hear some vibration behind that, but I fix it, guys. If you haven't, are you getting a vibration behind when I'm speaking, Deborah?
Now I can hear. Yeah, it was a little bit earlier, a little bit, but it was not really bothering me. But now, now it seems to be a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. I hear it. I still hear it. Hold on. Yes, this is true. I thought it was just my phone. Here. Welcome, welcome. There's a small echo, but for the most part, on this splitting. I don't know what splitting is. I've never had this happen. I really don't know what to do. Hold on. Is that better? No, it's still there. I don't know.
I can hear you.
You can
hear
me, everybody. I hope that eventually whatever's going on with my phone will correct itself. Otherwise I'm going to have to go out and come back in, and I really don't want to lose. She's given such great information, so I do agree that's better. All right, so my question is, the next question is, so I lost my train of thought. Just let me take a moment. Okay, so hold on. I know the name Lemire. Was that part of one of your codes for the Akashic Records? Does it mean anything in French about the Akashic Records, about the channel?
Yeah, I've only heard half of your question. The end you were cutting out. You mean what my name means, Lemire?
Yeah.
That's my last name. That's my actual last name.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's actually the third name that I've had 3 different names. This is the third and final name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on a second. Maybe let me take my phone off. You guys be patient with me. Let me take my phone off my stand and try to put it on again. All right. Is that better?
I can hear you,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I do hear a little background. I don't know what that is. So, but anyway, so on to your art, the channeling through your art. How did you was that just another gift that was open up to you?
Well, I've always been artistic, and I went to art school, to an art academy. I started there, well, I went there in high school for 4 years. I went to an art academy, but I wasn't really combining the psychic work with the art yet back then, even though I was already doing readings for people. I was already talking to my guides. I was just doing the regular art school, and it was very competitive, and that's why I actually turned away from art school and the art industry after a while. And after that, I started painting again when I had that awakening in the kitchen there, that moment that I saw this other lifetime. I saw her because I saw myself and my husband back then in that like different appearance, different face, different clothing. I said, I need to paint this. I need to paint this for myself. And then I realized that I had that portrait. It's not here. No, it's downstairs. And that I could communicate with that portrait, that I was meditating with it, that I could talk to it. I could, like, it was really helping me to connect with that part of my soul that I apparently needed to integrate, and it really helped me to have a visual. And then I started creating them for friends, but I was already painting and drawing because I had artistic education, so I already knew how to paint and draw. But then I started, because of course what they teach you in art school is observe what you see in front of you and draw. So you're constantly looking outside of yourself, and now I had to look at what I was seeing with my third eye and paint what I was seeing from within instead of what I was seeing in front of me. So that was something that I had to get used to, but then started doing it for myself, started doing it for family members and friends. And again, I said I need to offer this to people because it could help them connect to these past lives, to their higher self. And yeah, that's how all of that started.
Okay. So in your perspective, or your or what has come from within you, right? Do you think that a spiritual person goes deep with them as part of their own shadow work? And I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Can actually go in the Akashic Records without even I mean, I know you did it because you were there with you and your ex-husband in another different time period, but can they do it themselves without going to somebody to have it done for them?
Yeah, there's a bunch of people that will contact me and they say, I think I accidentally accessed the Akashic Records. And they describe to me like I was meditating, and all of a sudden I'm seeing this past life and this and that. And I said, yeah, because I believe that what I can do, anybody can do. I'm not nobody special. I believe that for me, I had this crazy experience because I was meant to have a catalyst experience to really offer this to people. But I believe that every single person, for their own personal development and growth and spiritual work, can absolutely learn how to access their own Akashic Records. And it is valuable, like when people come to me for a reading and then I give them the timeline of their soul, that can open things up for them. And I encourage them to take this information, meditate, and get more information. This is the foundation, and now you can take all this and go meditate. And I am almost sure, like 80% sure, that you're going to get more information on your own, that this is just the beginning. And once you have kind of opened up the Pandora's box, if you will, for people, then they can take that information and they can get more on their own. Or even without a reading, if they just come to me like, hey, I was in very deep meditation and I believe that I saw a past life of myself. And also, if you have this really deep feeling, like this is me, this is my past life, and you feel emotional and you have a connection to what you saw, then that is a sign that that was your Akashic records. And a lot of people, they want to dismiss it. Oh, that's not true, I can't do that. And more people access the Akashic records than they actually realize.
That's I kind of thought what it was. You know, a lot of people are doing this on their own, and it happens. I don't know that it's a spiritual. It's part of spirituality. I think that they're cuckoo or crazy, you know, because they're acknowledging it as something outwardly. What the outward world says, you're not supposed to do any of that. If you're seeing, then you need to go to a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Then right. The reason, okay, so the reason why I asked this is I believe that through my light language, I accessed these records. I didn't know back then that might be what it was, but and it got more profound for me because I know my soul is not just an old soul. I know my soul has not been in this human realm. I have these it's not instinctual. It's these recallings. I know that they're not my recallings because I can tell what my mind remembers from my childhood as this body. So it's very ancient, and the more my light language, the more I see myself in a I don't know if it's a different dimension, if it's a different galaxy, if it's how long it's been, you know, because of course we know that divine is not time, you know. We manage time. You know, we say years or millions of years or thousands of years or whatnot. But I know, and it's always when I'm speaking, my light language, it's kind of like I'm in I don't know what you would call it, a round table or a powwow or a ancient meeting or something, but and it's always like I'm a speaker. I'm, you know, so it's like, oh, is this, did I can you go that far back with the
oh yeah, absolutely. Because what you are probably doing when you are doing your light language, it's kind of like a radio dial. Like it's the frequency of what you are doing in that moment lines up perfectly with the frequency of that incarnation of your soul that had a very high frequency experience, maybe in another galaxy, other star system, maybe Atlantis or Lemuria, which can feel like a different place because the frequency was so different on planet Earth. And then we line up with that frequency because that is all our soul and the experiences and gifts and wisdom that our soul holds. So we can immediately connect to that experience. And if you are open, because you are channeling light language, then you will be open to seeing images, getting memories, feeling emotions that connect you, because it's like spans across all time, dimension, space, realities. So you connect to that part of you that was doing that same thing maybe, or that was like emitting the same frequency. Because I see it for a lot of people when I do Akashic Records readings, that they were speaking or doing stuff with their voice and frequencies would come out, and they're supposed to be speakers in this lifetime. They're supposed to be coaches, or they're supposed to be doing something with people and for people with their voice. And then they see those images because it's meant to remind them, look at what this is. This is you, and you have done this before.
Okay, so then it's like, okay, so it's just, and I notice it's like I'm holding others and whatnot. It's I'm holding it. What I think is coming from inside, it's inside. it it's the span of everything. I think everything that my soul, I hate to use the word was, everything that my soul is in all that is, right? Even though we say was, our soul is experiencing all that we believe as is right now.
Yeah.
So my
Yep.
question is, the 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 body, our body has emotion about it, because sometimes I get to the point where I just want to, you know, and I think that's, or there's a chuckle or a laugh or something, which I was just thinking, well, that's in the now moment of my body. Can that also be can my body also be taking in the emotion of that Akashic alignment?
Yes. Because I'll give you an example. I'll give you a crazy example. I have many of these examples. I used to get really bad migraines, like migraines that would just be like floor me completely, that I couldn't stand light. I couldn't, and it felt like electric shocks going in my brain, like somebody was shocking my brain. And one time I was sleeping next to my husband and I got a horrible migraine and my legs started shaking. And every time I got a shock in my head, or well, in this migraine, you know how that is. It comes up and then it fades away again and then it gets worse. And it would like send this electric shock through my right leg and it would move like it got shocked or something. And he looked at the sheet of the bed, my husband, and he looks at it. He says, "You look like you're getting electric shocks." I said, "I feel like I'm getting electric shocks."
Mm-hmm.
And I started feeling grief, deep grief. And this was 6 months ago. This was 6 months ago. And but I was aware of an Atlantean lifetime where I had been a male priest working with the violet flame, and I was electrocuted. And on some kind, like in a laboratory, I was electrocuted for my gifts. And I was at a tipping point in my career where I was going to go over a new barrier and over a new fear. I was going to start offering a new service that I didn't want to really, my ego didn't really want to do it because I was afraid, but it was what my soul needed to do. And now it's my most popular service. It's my channeling sessions. So in that lifetime, he got killed for that ability. He was electrocuted, and I kept getting the migraines and migraines. And I felt the grief,
Mm-hmm.
and I recognized this is his grief from that he had to hold in because he was on that table being electrocuted, feeling all the grief, but he was very stoic and he didn't move. He didn't say anything to the people that were electrocuting him. He just didn't want to give them the satisfaction, and he died. He didn't get mad. He didn't express his emotions. So yeah, and I started just crying and feeling all this grief. Luckily, my husband is also very open to all of this work, and he understood immediately what was happening. He says, "Oh, you are collapsing timelines. You are integrating this lifetime." So he lets me do my thing, and I'm crying, and this migraine fades away.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it's better. Like the migraine, I didn't get another migraine. I haven't gotten any migraines since then.
Right.
And I did get one last week. I did get one, but it was a different type of migraine, and I immediately felt, okay, it's not connected to that experience. But that type of migraine, it was just like electrocution all over again. And that is also an example of how these frequencies can line up in a not so pleasant way.
Yeah.
But then that fear was also gone, those emotions that I had connected to, oh, I have to do this new service and I'm kind of scared. The fear was gone.
Right.
It moved out because I recognized the grief of that other part of myself. And that's why I like that you say that it's not in the past. it's all happening because they are all existing in their timeline, and our soul is infinite, so we can access all of these timelines. And if we still have, like, if we can still feel their emotions, then they must still be existing in their timeline, which we can access still.
Right.
And then we can integrate it and help them. And that's the trippy part, because people will be like, so they can be aware of you in your timeline just as much as you are aware of them in the past.
Right.
Like that version of me, that version in 4th century Great Britain, I could feel how she was looking at me as her future incarnation, and she was aware of me just as much as I was aware of her. And we were both like, we are the same soul, and we are looking at each other through time, space, reality. We are aware of each other, and we are actually the same person. So
Right.
that is, you can heal wounds or heal or integrate you just information across timelines. And that's the fascinating thing I feel about the Akashic Records.
Wow, wow. I do know that some people feel more comfortable being when they find out about a past, what they believe is the past, who they were or who their soul was in a past time, that and they meet other people that were part of that story in their present, that was part of that story. Like somebody, you could have a mother and son in a past Akashic time story, you know, a record, and then they meet the same person who, you know, and they want to pick up where they off. Is that normal for, you know, that is it's like, oh, if they were a husband and wife in the past timeline, right, or a past that soul, that other soul, as husband and wife, bring it forward. Now we're in this human experience, and these two souls come up that share that past or that story, but they're in different, you know, they're different people. Is it normal for some people to want to, if they want to pick up where they left off, or is it just to have that knowledge of the soul knowledge, or the knowledge of the soul that experienced marriage, and the soul is, and now it's going to learn how to experience it again with different partners. It's not based on going back. Some people get caught in it, right?
Yes. And it all depends on the soul contract and what your mission is and what the mission is that you have with this person. Because you may have a whole different contract with that soul in this lifetime. Maybe in the past, it was beneficial for you to have a husband and wife contract because there was a dynamic that needed to be played out, lessons that needed to be learned. And then in this lifetime, maybe it is beneficial to have a mother and son dynamic. I'm just saying something off the top of my head. And that would be beneficial, because what good would it be to constantly have the same things? Like, if we want to expand, if we are a part of source consciousness, we would like to gather as many different experiences as possible. So it will happen. I've seen it a lot, like that somebody that now has a son in the past was maybe their husband. And then in another lifetime they were, but it does happen when you have somebody that is a soulmate that was a past husband, past life husband, that they will have had multiple wife-husband experiences because it works well. They work well together, but then maybe one time the man is the woman, and then the woman is the man, and then they are brother and sister, then they are son, mother, father, daughter, father, son, and stuff like that. So it does happen.
So then it's kind of like the contact, the soul contact, like, I want all forms of emotion. And I've always believed it as being souls just come here to play. It's It was never meant
Mm-hmm.
to work. We as the human body and human mind made it kind of work, and so there's that dynamic to that. But the soul said, okay, you want to know about emotion. Okay, I'll come play with you. And
Mm-hmm.
what type of how do you want emotion? What emotion do you want to feel? Oh, I want to feel love. Okay, well, who do you want to be feeling this love? Oh, I want to be a wife. Okay, right? Let's play it.
Mm-hmm.
And but let's make it fun. Remember that we want to do this. We're going to meet autonomously, and we're going to play at it, and we're going to let the bodies and live through. We're going to let the bodies let meet, autonomously. Kind of like we're going to do it and have fun doing it. It's going to play. But with the human part of us, does it make it hard? Does Akashic Records help us break through to understand those emotions from a
Yeah, because I've seen it can be beneficial to see why I have, for example, a mother and daughter couple, let's call them that, that I've been working with for a couple of years, that I've done mentorship with, that I have done portraits, a whole bunch of, I'm joking with these two women all the time, saying that they can open up their own art gallery. They have like 6 or 7 portraits already in their house. And they are mother and daughter in this lifetime. And I saw them together in Lyra, the Lyra constellation in our galaxy, and where the mother was the mentor and she was the student. The daughter was a student. Then in Atlantis, I saw that the daughter was the mother and the mother was the daughter, and that they were often in all kinds of different dynamics. And the mother then said, yeah, I can see, like, you can see that they are more like best friends. They are very close best friends, and they are on this spiritual journey together. And that they have agreed, okay, I'm going to wake up first, and then so I'll be your mom. You come later, and I will remember, like, I'll remind you of all this stuff because I will be older. I will be raising you. And then, of course, they have the mother-daughter dynamic in this lifetime. But adding all that other soul multidimensional information clarifies so much for them. Like, oh, now I understand why we are like best friends. We're almost like best friends, and like not the typical mother-daughter. Or like that they just have a very old, close connection, and then it just adds more clarity to the connection. Or the opposite, when there is tension. When there is tension between a child and a parent, and then maybe in a past life something happened. There was betrayal. There was something that happened, and that is now kind of repeating itself, asking to be healed, for instance.
Okay.
So that can also help and clarify a lot of things about the dynamic in this timeline.
Okay. See, I am learning so much. Thank you.
I'm happy.
Okay, so on your page, I noticed that you mentioned Mystic Christ. So it's Mystic Christ. I don't know if these go together. Mystic Christ, higher angelic self,
Integration. Yeah.
Right? And now, is this the same? Okay, because I come from a Baptist background. I came through the Baptist background, went from Baptist background to being born again Christian background. Emphasis on being broken, being what do you call it? The complex of being sinner,
being born in sin, basically.
Being born in sin, which I've moved through as a child. If you go back and listen to any of my podcasts or my posts, as a child, I've always been asked embodying questions. And these embodying questions, I were kind of wondering if these embodying questions come from me tapping into an Akashic record that enhance the question that I've asked. Especially being a kid, I just asked them. I didn't want to hear the question. You know, it's like, how could, you know, my main question is, how can we be born of Adam and Eve? And then when they sinned, we became sinners because of that. And then I moved through all of that and got to a point where I began to have my next spiritual awakening, which I believe was my last. Constantly waking up. I'm constantly learning, accessing new things. So soul awakening is constantly happening. But is this what you called this integration? Is that part of Christ consciousness? Not necessarily body and mind, but Christ consciousness as spiritual. Is that what that is?
Yeah. So I am not a Christian in the sense of the Roman Catholicism or any other religion that came from that, the Roman Christianity. I was baptized as a child, and then I turned away from religion because also I was asking myself these questions. As a 6-year-old, I was seeing angels. I was realizing the stuff in the Bible, the way that we have been taught, doesn't work. It doesn't, there's stuff missing. There's gaps in this book. This isn't right. And then, oh, that's another thing that around the time that I had that whole thing where I saw my ex-husband changing into this Viking type guy, I also had an experience with Jesus, but it was not the Jesus from the Bible. It was a way more mystical Jesus. And I started researching the Gnostic Gospels and the actual mystical texts that have been hidden, that we don't have access to, or that, well, they are all over. You can literally find them for free online. There are audiobooks, but they tell a whole different story. And I'm going to quickly grab this whiteboard because I have this still here. I did a webinar a few weeks ago about the Gnostic teachings. But this is going to be mirrored, I'm thinking, so this is useless. Yeah, but yeah. Oops, I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah, there was a truck coming by beeping, and I muted it really loud. Jorge says, I get a feeling I have something similar with my mom, like talking about the mother dynamic. He said, I have conversations that I feel like I've had them before, like deja vu. I get deja vu all the time. I feel like I feel like, you know, I've done this before, you know, and then I'll go, okay, you know, eventually that makes sense through my soul will help me make sense of that. But I just want to make sure when our viewers are saying something that I'm tapping in, because we're having such a good conversation. But back to this, you were saying.
Yeah, so on this board, basically, what I wrote on here was original innocence versus original sin. And I highly recommend, I have a book here, and this is going to, you see the state of this book, you see what this looks like. This is, basically, this is my Bible. It's called Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, and this is a channeled book. and it talks about Jesus and his life with the Essenes and what he was actually saying. And he was not saying, do what, follow me and listen to me. And he was not saying, he said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the light, or whatever that was that he was saying. But he says, I am. God is the way, God, and God, of course, source creator, is the way, and you are God. We are all children of God. What I can do, you can do, and even better is what he said. So what he's saying is, I am just an example of what you can do. You can reach Christ consciousness. I am here as an example, and I want you to see that this is what you can do as well. That's what he was saying. And that's what I mean. Yeah, when you read these words, when you go read the Essene Gospel of Peace, the Gospel of Thomas is also very good. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, who of course was like the prostitute, but she was actually a priestess. And they talk about that Jesus cast out 7 demons out of Mary Magdalene. But what that was, we have 7 chakras. And the Aramaic word, the language that they spoke for demon is Shadain, and that literally means imbalance, imbalance in energy. So all he did was realign Mary Magdalene's 7 chakras.
Yeah.
And that was all he did. Right. So he was actually a metaphysical, psychic mystic. And that's what I would like for more people to know. And lately, a lot of people have been coming to me that come from religion, that say, I'm so happy that I'm learning about these teachings, that I have always felt close to Jesus, but I just didn't really resonate with the Bible. And I'm like, yeah, then, and there, he was both. He loved God, but he also embraced all of these psychic intuitive abilities that we can all develop. We can all access the Akashic Records. We can all develop these intuitive abilities.
Yeah. Do you think, I love the downloads. They come in and, okay, the perception. Well, because one size does not fit all. Anybody coming into, whether I read a book or whether I'm doing channeling or whatnot, one size does not fit all. And your perspective, I believe that we are always I'm trying to see how Source wants me to put it. I'll do it this way. My perception that I've always got from Source is that we're always connected to all of the wisdom and understanding that's provided, and the Akashic Records are always open to us. They flow around us. They you know, out of them all the time, whether we're conscious of it or not. It's all around us. It's the divine is the divine is the Akashic Record, and the divine is always flowing in, through, and as us, and all. Do you get that feeling as well?
Yeah, and that actually is a perfect description of what it is to be me on a daily basis. Because I feel like, especially the first 6 months after I had that entire crazy awakening in my kitchen with my ex-husband standing there, for 6 months, I felt like I was just walking in these layers of all this information in this multidimensional world where everything, I was just constantly moving through layers and always getting information.
Right.
And stuff would come to me, and oh, this timeline, this wants to say something to you, and you're feeling something, and I'm suddenly seeing Atlantis, and then I'm feeling something, and I'm seeing myself in Scotland, and I'm like, this is just all merging together. And because also the collective consciousness, the frequency is going up, so we are, all this veil is becoming thinner, and more people are just becoming aware of the full spectrum of their soul. and I'll have many people like, I'm having crazy experiences. I think I'm losing my mind. Am I schizophrenic? What is going
Yeah.
on? And that is happening more and more lately. A lot of people.
I think that's the whole thing now, is because it's becoming aware, and now, you know, we've got our doctors and our psychiatrists and our psychologists, you know, uh, actually they're making more money because more people are waking up, and
Mhm.
they're not knowing what they hear or say, or what they're reading, or what they're feeling, or what's not not what the explosion is within them that wants to come from without, because they had that one,
Mhm.
that their ego was so silent, they or that they observed their ego from within, from a higher time, not even a timeline, from a higher point or a vantage point of all of the consciousness of the divine, that they actually got to observe their ego that was on a rampage. And then when they observed it, it got so quiet that they actually became aware. And once
Yeah.
they came out, or not out of it, once that started to come out of them, people around them started telling them, oh, you're crazy, you can't talk like that. And
Yeah.
I've been so many people that have awakened, but then they're moved into the form, or the form body of how the world views all of that, and how they get kind of, now they're stuck
Mhm.
there, because they're not, they're told that they can't express it. What how do you think, this has been a question that I've been meditating on, how do I know how to help other people who have had their spiritual awakening, and who are dedicated to more to their spiritual awakening, and want to help come to me, and I can help them, you know, move, or you know, do a workshop or that. But how do we take our spiritual awakening to all that we know, to all that you have, all that, and help help those who are in the world? Do you know, how do you take it from, you know, we're, as human beings, we're separate. There's spirituality, and then there's the world. And basically, us spirit people say that it's spirituality or consciousness versus them, the unconscious. How do we merge that with our gifts, our talents, our, you know,
Mhm.
what source is waking us up to? I know it's a deep,
Yeah.
but
I think it's a good question because that's the whole purpose of why we have come. We didn't come here to float above the rest because we are meant to form a bridge. Because everybody will, like, people are awakening, people, like random people, construction workers, bank clerks. It's not necessarily people that you would, oh yeah, I always thought you were a little bit weird. You were always kind of a hippie. No, it's everyday people
right.
are awakening, and I see these people coming to me like that have the most regular jobs, were never into any of this stuff. They say this stuff just started happening to me and nobody understands me, and that is why I create things that are relatable, and I turn my own experiences into videos or into blog posts, and I just put it in. And I know Facebook is a really good platform for people that are newly awakening. A lot of people will find Facebook groups, or they will go on Instagram and scroll all these posts and the hashtags and all that stuff. And I found that for like the people that you are now talking about, people that are awakening, and they kind of they don't want to talk about that with their family. They want to be anonymous. So they go into these Facebook groups and they find like-minded souls. They're like, oh my God, here I can tell these people all these crazy experiences. So I've been going into these groups, sharing about the Akashic Records, sharing about past lives, about awakening, about ascension, and then they will reach out to me. And I also have my own Facebook group. And yeah, and I have a free course. I have a free intuitive development course that I made specifically for people like that, that are Awakening.
Oh,
And it's real simple, and I made it real simple on purpose because I want it to be accessible. It cannot be intimidating for people to learn how to work with your intuition. If these are people that are like, I don't know, they work at a Walmart and they work at the cash register. I don't know. They've never heard of this like spiritual or esoteric like vocabulary. They have no idea what any of that stuff means, like Akashic Records, or they don't even know what that means. So they're gonna know stuff like intuition, spirit guides. Those are words that most people will have heard of. Past lives. Those are words that most people
yeah.
will know.
And,
So
and
yeah.
like you were saying, especially people who are coming out of uh, uh, you know, the old, the not old, but the religion, the older. Uh,
Yeah.
source just keeps wanting me to say archaic religion. It's old. It's not doing a greater good. So when you use Christ consciousness, or when we use that, they can say, oh, let me learn it a new way. You know, kind of
Yeah.
like say Jesus the Christ as part of, as instead of Jesus
Hmm.
Christ. Then we go, oh,
Yeah.
our name was supposed to be Jesus, but let's find out what the Christ means, because that has a different definition. That has a, you know, it's the word Christ is throughout the whole, throughout all of consciousness. So it's written and defined differently in how each you know, century of people have oh, I'm trying to think of the words, sources for my words, and it's just throughout of all of our define, what we define as humanity, as we did, has different definitions by which the Christ light or
Hmm.
consciousness has been revealed. And,
Yeah.
and one side doesn't fit all, because we're learning from a different perspective of how we've come, how we just, how our, how our awakening occurred for us.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes our awakening occurs for us because we hit rock bottom.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
for us, that rock bottom is different than the rock bottom for someone else. Like for me, I never went through traumatic experience where I somebody beat me or raped me, or, you know. So my rock bottom was being tired of religious stuff that don't serve anymore, that clog the, you know. This is the year that I learned, I'm starting to learn about my chakras, and the fact that the reason why I coughed so continuously for over the last, I'd say maybe 10 years continuously, was because my throat chakra was not in alignment, right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
it was not in alignment because I was always subject to people who would, if I said something, they would say, "Oh, you know, you should know better. Oh, that's
Yeah.
not, you know, that's not the truth." Or, you know, and this started to happen after my mom passed away. From the time I was little, I mean, just like 3 years old,
Yeah.
or could kind of remember it, to till I was in my 30s, my mom was always the one that allowed me to speak, allowed me
Hmm.
to have an
Yeah.
embodied question. And she was always the one that said, "Oh, what you want?" You know, you know, that kind
That
of,
would hear you and listen. Yeah.
yeah. She would listen, even if it was a question that I would ask, an embodying question that I would ask, even if she didn't know the answer, she would always go, "Okay, Sandy, it's time for you to go out and go ask somebody that question. Don't stop until a question just opened up to you," right? She was that. And then when she passed away, that form of Sandy hit, hit the rock bottom because
Yeah.
I couldn't physically ask those questions anymore without somebody saying, "Oh, you're crazy. Oh, that's woo-woo. Oh, now you're going into this. Oh,
Mm.
you know." I don't understand the light language. Why are you saying that?
Yeah.
I think go sit up a psychiatrist. So everybody's rock bottom is different, and as your gifts open up, they open up as a as a they open up in as a requirement to what you need at your rock bottom. They just,
Yeah.
at least
Mm-hmm.
that's the way I
Yeah. Everybody has a different awakening story, and it's always they chose that as a soul. They chose that point on the timeline, like this is where I'm going to awaken. This is what it's going to look like. That's going to be the trigger. For some people, it is religion, and indeed, just not finding the truth in religion and being like, what is the truth? Because I keep hearing this, then I hear this, then I hear this, and it's not true. For some people, it's a traumatic experience. For others, it's just curiosity and just wanting to find out more. And they travel and they have experiences, and that initiates an awakening. It's different for everybody, but it's always exactly what that person needs, I think.
right. So when I'm sharing the truck, hold on. Okay. When I'm sharing about information about the ego, information about our higher consciousness, and uh, I think once I started, of course, what opened up, I had an embodying question. I kept going, okay, what next? Anytime I get to that point where I start subconsciously saying what's next, I know that there's more. Okay, a puzzle piece isn't fitting, and I take that puzzle piece out and I go, this doesn't fit here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What do I need to see that my physical eyes cannot see? Show me through my higher, through that higher purpose. What else is my soul here to do? What do I need? What do we need to embark on? And for that, when I asked that, there was one asked that question that I was introduced to the raw materials. I don't know if you've heard of that, but
Yeah.
there's a gentleman. Their name is Aaron. I found out somebody gave me a suggestion. Look up Aaron Apke YouTube, and what that opened up, I've been listening to all of it, but what resonated back to me or reverberated back to me was what my soul was, as it was moving up the dimensions, or its timeline back to merge with source. And when I finally went, oh, it's not just about me having a spiritual body, that's a human incarnation that's in Earth school. Now I understand the purpose. The purpose is for my soul to move up the densities, the polarity density, learn about positive positive polarity and negative polarity, and give it choices as it moves up that density. Give it a way to actually have action in the duality realm. It gets to find out what the negative and positive is of life, and it's me. So I get to, then I have this puzzle piece that's alchemizing for me to put it back into the puzzle and go, what am I going to show my soul about living life, about making choices? My soul has been recalling to me all these actions that it's had in a past that's a now, right? That's all
Mm-hmm.
the Akashic Records is my soul showing me what I consider past, but showing me to it in the now, existing on all timelines. But my ego sees it as past, but my spirit sees it as present. And now I get to go, oh, why don't we try this? You know, we did that back in Galaxy 2002 in the now. Let's try this. Let's try that a different way in this duality. And that puzzle piece, I went, oh, put it back now, because it's alchemized, it's changed, it's, oh, I get it, right? Can't, for me, I don't know if that was part of the Akashic Records, or if it was part of the embodiment of everything, including the higher, my soul duality, merging into one. Have you ever had that when you went into the Akashic Records, like a positive explosion?
It is, yeah. I feel like all of it is connected, and it's really difficult to look at, oh, this is Akashic Records, this is a different experience, this is, because the Akashic Records is like basically the logbook of creation. It's like the logbook of everything that exists, will exist, and always has existed. And it's like if you have one angel, for instance, and he is responsible for keeping like all of the track of everything that happens in all of creation and everything, then that's the Akashic Records. So every experience you have, every thought, every aha moment that you have, every time that you have another awakening, and then deeper layer of that awakening gets revealed to you, then that is something that connects in the Akashic Records to a part of your soul somewhere in time-space reality where you have had the similar experience in another incarnation. So it's all connected. You are at that moment having an experience for the collective, and you're also having an experience that lines you up to that part of your soul that may have already had those experiences in other incarnations. So you're working together with that part of yourself, and you're giving to the collective, because it's all going back up into the ether for other people to access that frequency as well.
Beautiful. Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I love that. I love that. We are at an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hour and 45, because no, hour and 15 minutes. Sorry. You know what?
Oh.
Into this, like the time, floats away, kind of thing. But I did want to ask another question. There was hold on. This is what happened when I write it down. I think I asked all the questions that I wrote. There is a question that Source wanted me to dive into. Hold on. Let me just have a moment. I know. Okay, so that which we call angels, okay, which we label angels, do you think those are the spirit of Source being, what we want to call it, kind of like this? Okay, you're going to see angels in your life. The soul says, okay, I'll play the angel. Do you think it's that way, or do we keep that label from traditional religion?
Yeah, the traditional archangels, they come from the Hebrew, like Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Samuel, blah blah blah. All these angels, they have Hebrew names because they come from Abrahamic religions such as Christianity, Judaism. But what they are is a personification of a frequency. So when you have the Godhead right here. It's like one big ball of light. But then you have a prism, and it breaks it up into a different color spectrum,
Okay.
like a crystal. If you would go and say, okay, God is Christ consciousness, this crystalline consciousness, it's a crystal that breaks up in a blue ray, a green ray, a ruby ray, a purple ray, all these different frequencies, and you could then name those frequencies of God consciousness archangels, for instance. And each of these frequencies has specific qualities that God can use as a tunnel or bridge, if you will, to help you more efficiently. Like Archangel Michael is known for being about empowerment, strength, breaking through fears, stuff like that. Raphael has healing qualities and stuff like that, and they all have their own qualities. And to believe, like I know that in religion people will say, oh, Archangel Michael came to me and he was this person that descended into my room with this sword and he looked like a man. And some people may have those experiences because if they would see the entirety, the vastness of Archangel Michael, they couldn't integrate that experience. And then what would be the benefit of them having an angelic experience if they would be completely blown away by that frequency? So these angels will then come in and show themselves to this person in a way that the person is going to be able to actually like be able to do something with that information, because otherwise their head's going to explode. Yeah.
Yeah. I just that's just, that just, oh, yeah, that it's and the freedom of that, the liberation of that, the explosive, it's just exploded all from me. It's the the uh the archangels, the souls, the spirit has to have a type of form for a acclimate body and mind to spirit. Otherwise,
Yeah.
God in its truest form, which is light, then our mind, our conscious mind, couldn't explain it to all of it. The soul,
Yeah.
the soul knows it in its purity that it came from. But for our soul to share it with our body, it has it some type of form, but it's not like solid form like our solid bodies. We see the image.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that just did explode from me. It exploded from me.
Yeah, and because people, they will accept, oh yeah, there's a man standing there. They will accept that. Oh, I saw an angel. I had an angelic encounter. There was a man with a robe and a sword, and he had wings. It's Archangel Michael. But imagine that there's this beam of light that comes in with all this force and this love, and that just washes right through them, and they would be left ecstatic and crying. And most people would not be able to deal with that experience and integrate it properly. But that is what happened to me when I was 16, and that's how I met Archangel Michael at 16 years old. That was my first archangel experience, and I realized that's not how most people meet Archangel Michael. Because a lot of people, because I was reading books, I said, okay, I want to read books about people that have these angel encounters, and most people, they saw figures, they saw somebody. I'm like, yeah, I had this wave wash through me, and in that instant I knew everything about this angel, like it was a claircognizant download and a wave of love and everything all at once. And that's the thing, some people will say, oh, maybe, like, did I meet an angel? What was this experience? And then I tell them, yeah, it's not because you couldn't see it or you didn't hear anything. Maybe you felt something. Maybe you just got a download. That is also an angelic experience.
Right. Oh, I don't want to end this conversation because it's, you've just answered so many of my questions, about, because I know I need to be, absorbing the this information of the Akashic Records because I've been doing it through my light language, and kind of, you know, that equal mind say, okay, well, I'm going to let you have the experience of light language. I know you're experiencing something from that, but you know, the visions that you have, those don't make sense from the egoic standpoint. And
Yeah.
you know, that was part of my meditation, that, you know, I said, well, okay, I'm going to just stick it in meditation until you show me that which is that I'm not understanding or seeing or making sense of. And like all of a sudden there was a post that I was I've seen your post before, and I follow your page, and I listen to your stories and stuff. But there was a story or a post that came through that just lit up like a bright light, like it just infused in it. And I heard somebody ask her to be on your podcast, ask her to be on your podcast. And I said, okay. And no, then Source said, ask her to be on your podcast. And I said, okay, right? And then Source said, my work is done, right? And it was just, you know, I just had to get you here, and it was like, okay, I'm understanding things. She's the person that's going to help you understand the Akashic person that's going to.
There was the video about the broken heart chakra. I remember.
Yeah.
That was the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was a crazy thing that I saw, because this person had told me before, oh, I've had a chakra reading or healing done by another practitioner, and they said that I don't have a chakra system.
Yes.
And I was like, how is that? Like, a plant has a chakra system, an animal has a chakra system, you have an energetic body. Otherwise, this physical body wouldn't be experiencing anything. It all starts with energy. You have a chakra system.
Right.
And because he had so much trauma that he had stored in his heart chakra, it broke like a light bulb almost. And it's kind of like Christmas lights. It's like a chain reaction. When one breaks, they all break. And what I think happened is that person didn't pick up on the chakras, because the main one, basically the heart chakra, was not working properly. It was so full of trauma. And that was it. And that's why when I do these Akashic Records readings, I also do a chakra scan in the end, because you can see where people have energy stored from the different lifetimes, and how then I usually get advice from their guides what they can do to clear that energy. But often it is just knowing the information. Just knowing the Akashic information is enough to open the door to let stuff flow again.
Ooh.
And for them to then get the information, because I don't want people to like keep coming back to me. What I'm doing is I'm giving you this box, this Pandora's box. I opened it. Here it is. Now you can get all the information, and it's going to keep coming. And now it's up to you to do something with all of this, because this is you. This is your higher self, your Akashic Records. You can now do this on your own.
Right. Right. I love that. Bring yourself to your table of life. If you don't sit at the head of the table of life, or allowing somebody else to sit at somebody else vibrationally to sit at the head of your table, you're only going to get what you get. You know, you're going to get, not like what you get, not like how your body feels, whether it's health or whether it's a psych state of mind, or a health state of mind, or a financial state of mind. It's all energy. And your energy, you have to take your energy, know that it's your own, and allow yourself to sit at your table and go, okay, what do I want to address now? You know, and have people sitting at that round table going, you know, you'll have your crown chakra sitting at one seat, and you'll have your third eye sitting at another seat, and you'll have your heart chakra, your throat chakra sitting at another seat, and your heart chakra That's the one that's sitting at the head of your table. Then you've got your sacral and your solar and your root sitting at and saying, some of them are saying, what do you want to do? We're hurting here. How do you
Mm-hmm.
how do you want to heal us? How do you want us to come into alignment? We're waiting for you,
Yeah.
kind of thing. It's like, wow. I just had that. Whoa, that was a download to have all
Mm-hmm.
the chakras sitting at a table, at a round table, going, let's discuss it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because they're all connected. That's the thing. If there's something, because that's what I've noticed anyway, the throat is very often connected to the sacral chakra. When there is a problem with speaking, there's also a problem with, because in the throat stuff comes out, and the sacral chakra is our creative center where we create from. And if one of those two isn't working, the other one's going to notice it. And it's the same with the root and the crown, of course. You need to ground in everything that you are getting from here, or you're going to get like a traffic jam, an energetic traffic jam, because it's all going to be here. And then you have people that are very ungrounded, that are overwhelmed by this whole spiritual experience. And then they need to ground more. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it's making sense. I'm understanding it. I'm not overwhelmed anymore. And we need to have a balance. Like they all need to work together.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that you joined us today. I'm so and grateful that you were able to join us and be part of this soul conversation. I would like to
Mhm.
go back again. We have, I think we're on the top of the iceberg, but we have, I
Yeah.
would deep dive into each, each, I have more questions about the Akashic Records and our chakras as well. The one question that I will leave you with, and maybe that will make you excited to reschedule, is
Yeah. Yeah, but I definitely want to do another one. I definitely want to do another one. Yeah, we
yeah,
can do that.
yeah. The question is, my question is, I also studied kind of sort of just a little bit when I was a kid under the Jehovah's Witness, and Jehovah's Witness believe that there's 144,000 that will enter into heaven and reign, and everybody else that passes the test of God will be in the new heaven, right? And then I've heard about the 144, just that number is about our chakras, that we have more than the 7 chakras that we work with, and that the chakras are reflective in that number 144. So, and I know that's deep. We'd end up probably being here a couple of hours trying to, dive into that. And for some reason, I don't know. I think we're meant to talk about this. I don't know if you're feeling it, but
Yeah, well, I had never heard of that before, but that is very interesting because I do believe that we have a lot of chakras because I myself work with the Pleiadian system of 12 and 13 when the higher heart is activated, 12 or 13 chakras, and they use 2 chakras above the head, about a foot above the head, and 3, I mean 3 and 2 below the feet, and that's what they use, and the higher heart chakra. Because the Pleiadians, they believe that the 2 below the feet, they connect you to the crust of the earth. And the crust of the earth carries the planet's Akashic records. So when you are walking around, you have chakras underneath you, above you, you have chakras in your hands, you have chakras in your entire auric field.
right.
And so I can definitely see how we have hundreds of
Yeah,
chakras because we like everywhere.
yeah.
I can see that. Yeah.
It's,
And how they are connected like multidimensionally to the chakras even of our other incarnations. and how when they heal something or experience something, how like you have people that have back problems or people that have neck problems. And then I see that in a past life, they were decapitated, they were hung or something, or somebody that has back problems, that they were stabbed in, literally stabbed in the back, and that comes back, and that those chakras are holding on to that energy.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Deborah, we're gonna. I really don't want to stop talking, but I take my. It's time. I have to take my little fur baby out to.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat some dinner here, and we can definitely do a part 2. We can definitely do that, because I could talk about Akashic Records. Yeah, I can talk about this forever. So I would definitely be up for a part 2.
We'll definitely come back for a part 2. I have a day that opened up, but it's early in October. I think it's something like October 6th. So think about that date if you can do it. It would be everything.
Yeah, I have my entire schedule for the next 2 weeks is fully booked, and I don't know how it happened. All of a sudden, it was fully booked with channeling sessions, which I don't complain about, but it's like, whoa, okay. But definitely, yeah, we're gonna have to look at it. Yeah. We're gonna look at it, and we're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to happen that day. I just had that open up because somebody had to cancel because they were going through something. And I told them, you go through something, and I hold space for you, and then we'll reschedule. So that's fine. And then, okay, that might be my day off, but that's very early. I think that's even October. That's next week. But maybe we can do it for the end of October. The beginning of November. Let's see. It's all about everything working out for the greater good of what's possible for us. So, thank you so much for being.
Well, yeah, you're very welcome, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, I'm just so I've got so much energy. So everyone joining us for this wonderful conversation. Thank Deborah. Follow Deborah. Follow her page, Lemire Soul Craft. I say that correct?
With an S, Lemire Soul Crafts.
Soul Crafts. Go to her page. Follow her on Facebook, on all of her media platforms, and stand on your leading edge of creation, of the cosmic creation universe. You were brought here to have a cosmic experience living your life. Tap into your soul, tap into your Akashic records. Make the most of what you have been given from the grace of the divine to have this experience. Be joyful in what you are and have the blessings. Many, many, many blessings. Thank you so much for being part. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wait. How rude of me. Is there anything that you would say as we close?
Oh, no, I was just listening to what you were saying. It sounded really nice. All I would say is we're going to do a part 2, definitely. And yeah, if anybody is interested in my free course, you can always send me a message, or you can find it in my link tree. When you go to my Instagram, just click my link tree and go to free course. And you can always just see, you can join. And that was it. That's kind of all I have to say.
Thank you so very much for everybody being part of the group. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I close this this podcast for those who are numerology. Close it 10845, 10845, 10845. I wish you understanding and wisdom, divine, wonderful, unconditional love throughout your whole life, not just today, not just this weekend, your whole life, your whole creation. You can create and keep writing those books. You can have 155 chapters if you want, or you can just have 5 chapters. You can start a new book every time you need to. Your life is anew every moment. You are the moment. The moment is anew. Again, Source wants you to stand on the leading edge of creation and create. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.